I often find myself trying to define what life really means. To me, I see life like a vast ocean, each wave representing a different experience or memory. Each wave tells its own story, leaving an imprint as it crashes onto the shore of our existence, each one unique and vibrant in its own right. And just as the ocean begins from a single drop, our life also commences from a single point, our childhood. Our earliest experiences are like the gentle waves near the shore, soft and inviting, shaping the landscape of our identities. They ripple across the vast expanse of our minds.
Say thank you, Hannah.
And through our childhood, it leaves lasting impressions that really form the contours of our adulthood. And then before we know it, we're here, figuring out that life in all of its complexities is a beautiful test, a journey filled with ups and downs. Yet through it all, we trust in His timing. We know that there's a time for everything under the heavens and the earth. And each experience, each moment, shapes us, molds us into who we are. There will be moments in our lives where we encounter various versions of ourselves. Each version is shaped by the hardships that we experience. These hardships, as diverse and unique as we are, come in so many different forms: loss, failure, rejection, or illness. Each one brings its own set of challenges, pushing us to our limits, testing our resilience and strength. But with each test, we transform, evolving into a stronger, wiser version of ourselves. God has such a perfect plan for each of us. Every hardship we face, every challenge we overcome is all part of His divine plan. As we grapple with these hardships, it's so important to trust in divine timing. But it's not always easy to see the divine plan when we're in the midst of hardship. But that's where faith comes in. Faith in His timing means trusting that there's a purpose for our pain, that our struggles are shaping us into the person we're meant to be. It means believing that in the end, everything will make sense, and every piece of our life's puzzle will fit perfectly in place. We are exactly where we're meant to be, experiencing what we're meant to experience, and becoming who we're meant to become. So all in all, trusting in God's timing is essential. There are going to be moments where it seems like our plans are not going the way that we would like them to, or when our path will start to take unexpected turns. But it's in these times that we need to realize that God's perspective is much greater than our own. And His timing, while it might not necessarily align with our immediate desires, He has a plan for each and every one of us, and His timing is so perfect. The ebbs and flows of life can be so confusing sometimes, and I think this is something that a lot of us really go through in trying to figure out what everything means when we're tested with trials, when we're tested with hardship, and the complex paths that we're all on. But as we know, there will be points where our perfectly laid out plans that we have for ourselves in our lives will start to crumble in front of our eyes. The chosen paths that we've decided to take on start to have these weird twists and turns that just don't align with what we want for ourselves. A lot of the times when we stress about timing, it's because we want things to happen in our own time. For example, you might be a person that sets a timeline for when you want things done. For example, by 25, I want to be able to have a family, or, by 28, I want to be able to achieve this with my career. And then you find that things are completely different from what you had planned for yourself. You might internalize the fact that things aren't going your way because it has to do with you. No, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Every single thing that you've done is right, okay? It's taking you on a path somewhere. And once you achieve your goals, your aspirations, life changes, whatever, in the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows it's right for you, everything will make sense. And then we end up on this path that's so completely different from what we expected. I find that it's always during these times of uncertainty that I feel more assured, because I'm reminded that in these moments of uncertainty, there's a wisdom behind all of these tests and all of these changes that I will never understand, nor will you. God's delays are not God's denials. God listens, God understands, God hears you, and He has a divine plan for each and every one of us. This analogy might be a little bit cheesy, but another way of thinking about this is thinking about how a seed is planted in the ground. When a seed is in the ground, it struggles in darkness, right? It's fighting to leave the darkness and come into the light. It has to push through all these different obstacles in the darkness in order to reach the light. And then what ends up happening, it blossoms into this beautiful flower or this tree. Now, thinking about that analogy really brings me back to trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's timing and how that can ultimately ultimately lead to a beautiful outcome. At the same time, I'm not going to act like it's very easy. Deepening your relationship with God and trusting his timing and all of this is something that is easy. No, it requires time, and it requires patience, and it requires persistence. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But when you trust in God's timing, you are literally surrendering everything and just giving everything to him. Trusting in God's timing doesn't mean you're complacent and you just sit around waiting. You have to also do your part. You have to also continue to be proactive towards your goals, while also at the same time maintaining your faith. So instead of thinking, what if it all goes wrong? I want you to think, what if it all goes right? In our journey of life, we are never truly alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always with us. And we're always going to be accompanied by a love that is infinite, a love that is unchanging, a love that is consistent. And it's a love that encompasses us even before we were born. And that truly is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love of the most compassionate, the one who is the most giving, the most forgiving, Kareem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all of these beautiful names, and he is the one who has the deepest love for us. In my opinion, the more you're able to understand God and understand his 99 names and understand the characteristics that make up who God truly is, the easier it is for you to understand his timing. Why? Because when you truly understand who Allah is, you would know that he would never do anything to take you away from what you truly want for yourself. And he knows you better than you know yourself. So why wouldn't you trust his timing, right? So I really encourage you to sit, reflect, think about what it is that you want for yourself, what it is that you want for your life, and ask God to make it easy for you. Ask God to allow you to have a relationship with him, and ask God to make it easier for you to understand his timing. It's a lot easier for you to surrender and trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's timing when you actually understand who God is, when you actually understand his 99 names. And truly and honestly, you guys, when you love God, try to cultivate that relationship, that deep relationship with God, you're going to be able to achieve your dreams and aspirations like this, and you will see how your life will change. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Would love to hear from you guys. What are your experiences with trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's timing? Have you been finding it easy? Have you been finding it hard? I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. But otherwise, I think I'm going to end the video here. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.